Welcome to Books for Success. Today, we're unraveling the insights from Yoke by Jessamyn Stanley. If you always wanted to do yoga but never had time, do not worry. You are now practicing yoga. You yoke when you are sitting, riding the subway, or just relaxing, analyzing your day. Yoga is not only about challenging postures and complete spirituality. It is the ability to love your pain and strength and recognize and control the surrounding energy. Yoga is our every step and every meaning that we give it. Jessamyn Stanley is a brave, sincere, and honest teacher and yoga practitioner, an Instagram star, and a person who never stops learning. Yoke, My Yoga of Self-Acceptance is an autobiography and a guide to the world of yoga as a way of knowing yourself. If you like our content, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Don't be shy about smashing that like button if you discover something valuable. Let's grow and succeed together. At the beginning of your yoga journey, listen to your inner voice. It will tell you how to yoke your body and thoughts. For the first time, Jessamyn Stanley heard the voice that prompted her to follow her yoga path after a series of personal tragedies. She was already doing yoga but did not take it seriously, considering it was a hobby. Stanley did not notice the connection between yoga and mental health immediately. She did not focus on the presence of yoga in her life. Once at home, she heard the inner voice that said she had enough strength to do yoga without supervision. It was her voice, but it was very confident and insistent. She went to her yoga mat and began to practice the iconic breath of Bikram yoga. It was exciting for her to study without the supervision of a teacher. Still, the voice recited each position from Bikram yoga, reminding her to inhale and exhale deeper each time, treating every breath like the last. Stanley noticed the difference between practicing in public and alone. She was sincere, loud, and free at home. She focused on her knowledge, not the practices she didn't know yet. The word yoke means to unite. Yoke is about balance. For Jessamyn Stanley, yoga became light and darkness. It brought together her most profound and controversial aspects. There are questions and answers in yoga. The World of Yoga by Jessamyn Stanley is not a constant practice of postures and the absence of the only correct breathing system. It is an opportunity to be yourself and to allow your body and thoughts to be comfortable. My Yoga of Self-Acceptance will become your guide if you make your first steps in yoga and look for a way to your inner self. In a world full of pain and inequality, practicing yoga means searching for vital power. 10 years after the first manifestation of the voice, Jessamyn Stanley became the book's author. She participated in campaigns for Amazon and Adidas. Still, she often faced discrimination. Stanley was supposed to be the cover hero of Yoga Journal. When she came to the store, wanting to buy the magazine, she saw another woman on the cover. It turned out that the magazine was released with two versions of the covers. As for a woman of color, she took this action as proof of racism. At the same time, many U.S. yoga teachers ignore the reality of racism, as American yoga is a predominantly white institution. In her book, Stanley also speaks frankly about her body and admits she does not feel attractive when losing weight. Jessamyn Stanley confessed that she had faced discrimination and harassment, but she is no longer shy about feeling weak or hurt. At the heart of Stanley's practice is the yoga of everyday life. It is not necessary to study the culture of South Asia to deepen your understanding of yoga. There are differences between classical and American yoga. Classical yoga is at the core of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and other spiritual and cultural practices. The roots of American yoga go back to the early 20th century when famous teachers came to the United States from India. The yoga of daily life is about finding flexibility and vitality even in the worst moments of life. Yoga is when you find a way to move on after someone you love leaves your life. It's when you give birth to a person and take care of them for the rest of your life. Yoga means awareness in the most stressful situations when you stand firmly on your feet no matter what. Your path in search of faith may be your first step to yoga. A family friend once accidentally pointed out that Stanley's mother was drinking an alcoholic cocktail. For young Stanley, this fact was a revelation. It turns out that our parents have their truths. In light of this truth, Stanley reflected that all people wear masks. Our words and behavior hide something more eternal. It is the light that binds us together. Yoga reveals the edges of this mask. It can introduce us to ourselves, hiding under the guise. Do not hide your inner light. Live as if no one is looking at you. Jessamyn Stanley followed the Baha'i religion during her childhood and adolescence. Members of this religion follow these rules. Treat people the way you would like them to treat you. Men and women are equal. Racial equality is essential. Baha'is value communication and marriage between people of different races. Although only in her teens, she understood what it really meant to be a Baha'i. Try your best to be perfect. However, due to adolescent hormones, the issue of premarital chastity was quickly closed. In addition, religion turned out to be slightly homophobic, and Stanley already recognized herself as a queer person. She did not want to be ashamed of her personality, and by the time she was 20, she quit the Baha'i faith. Leaving the faith erased Stanley's definition of the sacred texts. She now determines the sacredness of texts on her own. Her list includes James Baldwin, Malcolm X, Gary Zukav, Don Miguel Ruiz, Henry David Thoreau, Swami Vivekananda, and Dr. Maya Angelou. Swami Satchidananda's translation of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras has become the most significant for Stanley. It is a collection of 196 Sanskrit aphorisms about a yoga practice considered one of American yoga's founding texts. Poses in yoga are not the key, but the house that you build as you want and make it reliable and comfortable. When Jessamyn Stanley followed the Baha'i faith, she observed a strict fast for the 19 days before the vernal equinox. Hunger and thirst made her concentrate on the moment. Yoga does the same. Fasting showed the writer how much she wanted to complain sometimes, how smug she was, and how much she liked projecting these emotions onto others. It is essential not to be afraid to cleanse your inner world. In most minds, yoga is more of a physical activity than working on breathing or consciousness. Poses are the key to American yoga. The postures serve as an introduction to the basics of yoga, but they are only a path to inner knowledge. We must learn the correct breathing and spirituality at the beginning of the spiritual path. However, the most significant path of life is the ability to grow old. Aging fills life with meaning and depth. While poses are not the most important part of yoga, your practice is impossible without them. Still, you are not required to perform complex elements. There is only one posture you need to master perfectly: sitting quietly. You can try it right now. It will be harder than it sounds. Allow yourself to focus entirely on the body and try understanding how it behaves. In each pose, catch yourself thinking about the position of your head and how your heart beats. Remember to breathe mindfully and correctly. Notice the slightest tension, even if a new wrinkle appears on your face. Enjoy the moment when you feel that your face is finally relaxed. Most importantly, ignore others' comments about your posture. Did you know? The poses that have become symbols of American yoga combine classical yoga poses, European gymnastics, Indian weightlifting, and other forms of kinesthetic movement popularized in the 19th and 20th centuries. Astrology and yoga have similarities in the world of social media. Learning yoga in the age of Instagram is more like a show. Yoga spirituality relies heavily on celebrity culture. People are looking for power and recognition, so they want to follow those who have already made these achievements. Yoga reminds us that all searches lead within us. While capitalism tells us to look beyond ourselves, yoga says the opposite. However, capitalism is the reason why yoga has become so popular and widespread throughout the world. In America, yoga culture is focused on materiality and shopping, not spirituality. Jessamyn Stanley calls wealth the main American religion. Even in the yoga world, there is consumerism. However, many people don't think about money when starting their yoga practice. They can later become yoga teachers. In the process of knowing themselves, people understand that transcendence is beyond the power of money. After all, the connection with spiritual power has nothing to do with someone's poverty or wealth. Teaching yoga in the Instagram era means fighting your ego daily. You constantly update your feed, think about posts and stories, and try to create something new every day. Stanley reminds herself not to confuse herself with her image on social media because our avatars are always the best versions of us. The writer adds that the internet version of yoga practice is also good because it still conveys the same truth, the truth of self-care. Jessamyn Stanley once focused on logic, but two paths helped her understand her spirit better. The first way is the tarot cards, which came into her life via her aunt. Tarot allows Stanley to use her intuition when her logic isn't working and she's having difficulty figuring out her next move. Astrology is the spiritual continuation of astronomy. Many people do not believe in this specific science, but horoscopes often make you ponder. Astrology does not predict the future, but can provide answers about the present. The fascination with astrology reminds Stanley that we in the galaxy are made of identical particles. Breathing is a way to harness the endless energy within us and in the world around us. Jessamyn Stanley is convinced that yoga practice is not possible without careful breathing control. Breathing connects you to the life force in you and the world around you. When you breathe, you already do yoga. The pose does not matter. Breathing control can be challenging. but you must establish intense contact with the physical body before you can do this. Prana is a cosmic energy that constantly flows through us. When you are sick or hurt, the prana around you is out of balance. But you can control the prana and its interactions with your body. Soon, you will learn to control your nerve endings and imagine your thoughts and emotions flowing. Pranayama is the regulation of prana cosmic energy. For example, by holding your breath, you control oxygen flow into your body, a vital component that ensures life. Hence, you are regulating the functions of the physical body. You correct the imbalance of prana when you hold your breath. When you practice pranayama, alone or in a group, you gain control over the energy that saturates you and all living things. The breath that goes in and out of the lungs is the primary practice and demonstration of pranayama. But prana is not only air because living beings are connected not only with air. Prana fills the space around you. It exists on both the tangible and the spiritual levels. If your teacher does not pay much attention to breathing in yoga class, still try to establish a connection with it. Any posture is suitable for pranayama if it is comfortable. Sit straight, straighten your chest, relax your shoulders, and imagine a crown on your head. It should be directed toward the sky. That is, keep your head straight. Jessamyn Stanley advises practicing pranayama regardless of your physical posture. Find a position that is comfortable and stable. The author suggests starting the breathing practice with an even calm through the nose. You can also practice inhaling and exhaling for numerical counts. Allow yourself to observe more and not be afraid of your thoughts when you start learning meditation. Meditation is the practice of contemplation. Many people mistakenly think that one should only sit with closed eyes during meditation. You can practice meditation whenever you want because every moment of life is meditation. During practice, time disappears because you are in the present moment. Jessamyn Stanley recalls when her thoughts and subconscious mind attacked her during meditation. Do not try to get rid of thoughts in a similar situation. Let them float in their usual flow. Half the difficulty of meditation comes from your desperate desire to create the image of meditation. You don't need to seek calmness. Silence is an illusion and exists in chaos. Every person knows what meditation is from birth because children meditate all day long. Reflection and observation of the world are the main activities of any child. Growing up, a person tries to listen to others more and to themselves less. When we immerse ourselves in meditation, we calm the inner child, who sometimes wakes up and cries. Jessamyn Stanley began her meditation training by practicing ordinary sitting in silence. It takes more effort than it seems. Depending on your preference, you can meditate with your eyes closed or open. Stanley focuses on inhaling and exhaling through the nose. She also sets a timer to take her mind off the concept of time. Also, the length of the meditation doesn't matter. All you have to do is feel the fact of your existence. You can choose a companion for your meditation, such as music. For Stanley, singing is about respect for ancestors and a way of expressing oneself. Music is prana, the energy that contains dreams, sorrow, and love. Music leads you to a deeper connection with your breathing, but it can be distracting initially. So make your yoga playlist when you learn to play your inner instrument perfectly.
Conclusion.
Yoga is about understanding and accepting yourself. In the internet age, the perception of yoga has become erroneous. It is not just tricky poses, and indeed, not the ability to turn off thoughts during meditation. Yoga is the ability to feel your inner self and connection with the world. The stronger this bond and confidence, the easier the complex poses become. Breathing is a key element of yoga. Oxygen saturates our bodies, allowing us to think faster and clearer. So pay attention to calm and deep breathing as you practice. Meditation does not imply elevation and release from all thoughts. Surrender to the stream of thoughts and accept their chaos. Allow all your joys and sorrows to exist. It is the attainment of enlightenment. The most important thing in yoga is to be yourself. Jessamyn Stanley asks you not to wait for someone's approval and not to expect yoga to give you all the answers. You are already a bright and shining star, even at the beginning of your spiritual journey. Find the courage to make mistakes and move on. Be your own instructor and let the world teach you.
Try this.
Small rituals help in teaching contemplation and energy regulation. During practice, surround yourself with things that calm you or just please the eye. Crystals, candles, or pictures. Carry a notebook and write down your ideas throughout the day to know what you need to work through.
Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey.
If you've enjoyed our summary, consider reading the full book for a more in-depth exploration. Before you go, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and share this video with someone who could benefit from these insights. Until next time, keep reading, keep learning, and keep growing.